A new beginning. Mind candy tips. A new beginning that could boost your mood and get you really excited. It's exciting to think of a new beginning, but it also can be very challenging. Why? Because of our comfort zones. And our comfort zones are designed to keep us, safe and happy and feeling good. And kind of generally design, like humans, right? We're trying to get away from pain and create more pleasure. And especially in, a modern world where things can come to us so much. If we can imagine a world where we can create our world so much that everything it would be available to us without really having to do much. We could order what we needed to. That could come to us. We could have the friends that we want to come to us. Imagine you could create your whole world completely in your comfort zone. You'd have to actually ask yourself, wait a minute, where do I need to push my boundaries to get to the next step? But a lot of people aren't in that place either, right? So it depends. And I say that because I really want you to think about what your comfort zone is in your life and why you keep yourself there. Because we're programmed, right? We're programmed to, move toward pleasure and away from pain. But when we're in our comfort zone and we're stepping outside of our comfort zone, our brain is programmed to what? All of a sudden step into a fight or flight situation. And that's actually what gets us to the next thing in our life. That's growth. That's when we set our, goals that we're moving toward achieving. But goals and dreams are also different things too. Dreams, I would say, like are without getting into too much, it's like that's the bigger picture and the visions and what you're moving toward. A goal is kind of that measurable thing that you're setting yourself up to and then you're moving toward. But that when you're in your comfort zone, you can be set, right? That when you start to take action to move toward those goals, the fight or flight in the brain is going to step in. And then all of a sudden, you're going to respond and react in whichever way, depending on what? The thoughts that have been in your mind for so long and the boundaries you've set for yourself and your self-worth and your self-talk. So some people are really great at going, yeah, I'm going to crush my goals. They follow things. I was actually talking to a friend yesterday and we're polar opposites in our discussion. She's been set up in her life where, she's in the corporate world. I was in the corporate world at one time in my life. But I found I struggled with always in my life, even though I got good grades and everything. If you were to get, the instructions, even to put this together, something so basic, I'm like, I'm not going to go through this. I'm very bad at going through the steps that's my self-talk. I had to learn how to get through that because I'm generally not been a person to go, oh, let's follow the steps and the guides. And that's why getting to my goals or setting, a specific target was difficult for me. That was something I had to work through. And what would happen was the flight I was just like, forget this or whatever else. I had an unconventional way of getting to those things because my issue has always been self-sabotage and fear of success. Even though I've been so massively successful in what people would define success, I wasn't defining it as success or seeing because my self-talk was always, I'm a failure, I'm a loser, blah, 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 because I couldn't follow steps like other people in the traditional way. Right. So then for me, that they call that learning disabilities. They call that whatever. I disagree with all of that now that I've kind of gone through the process. That's just my brain works differently because I personally had a certain amount of trauma that changed my brain chemistry. So I had to learn to work through that. So that was something as I was getting out of my comfort zone, I would get into the fight or flight, depending on what the situation was. But a lot of times for me, it was flight of, forget it, I'm not going to even bother or do this. And then I would shut down and that was my self-sabotage. So I'd get close to the end of achieving a goal or doing something and then I ADD out, start something else, take a course, don't get to the end, taking most of it and then not finish or whatever. And then the self-talk around that could have been an excuse or it could have been that I'm not good enough or whatever. And then that's repeating that cycle. So I had to learn, okay, what are my limitations here in this? And what is that dream so important to me that the goal to get there might have to be moved around a little bit and I might have to find a different way of navigating through to get to that goal. Why? Because I have these blocks. And it's the mind blocks and how I was, setting myself up to get to that goal that was messing me up. And then the self-talk around that. So I just want you to think, when you're starting a new beginning and something exciting, right? That's exciting and also very scary. So recognize that. That's a normal thing. So I want you to be aware and try to figure out, okay, where would I want to be? What is my goal? What is my target? And how will I have to step outside of my comfort zone? And when I do that, what's my response? So look back right now at your life, and so, because it can be hard to do when you're trying to do it in future planning, but if you look back at your life, you've achieved something, for sure you have, how you went about doing that, and kind of work backwards in the process of what was going through your mind and how you worked through getting out of your comfort zone. And then what I want you to do is give yourself credit for that. That's the first thing. Give yourself credit for that, because so often we beat ourselves up. So my friend, her, she was telling me she had never really she's a person who, she sets her target, sets her goal, she can work through it, and she achieves. She had a hard time always with failure. So her self-talk was very different than my self-talk. I'm fearing success because my self-worth at my core was always so low, and she's fearing failure. For me, failure is like, so what? Right? A totally different mentality. I go, right? I didn't have that competitive spirit, that thing, those wins. So it's easy for me to go, whatever. Whereas most people's fear is failure. And I realized on a global, like when I looked at different things, I was fear of failure. But what was my fear of failure? For me, it was fear of rejection, of not being loved. So I was putting myself out there. So I think internally I always had a fear of failure, just what it was. So just learning yourself and how you're talking to yourself in different situations to get you out of your comfort zone to start your new beginning. And how you're talking to yourself. So food for thought, your mind candy tips for today.